Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Coffee with Jim podcast. I am your host, Jim Tanner. As we are dropping the podcast, it's Tuesday, January 12th, 2021, and we are here engaged in the new year. Welcome as we are near the midpoint of January, and I'm excited for you. I hope you're all excelling here in 2021, that you are moving forward. The last couple of weeks on the podcast, I was joined by my wife, Dr. Danielle Rousseau, and we talked about setting goals and setting intentions for the new year, looking back and taking inventory of what worked and what didn't work, what was profitable and what wasn't in the previous year. Hopefully, you've caught those episodes. If not, you can definitely listen to them in the archives. But this week, I have a very special New Year gift for all of you. Here in January 2021, I'm going to be launching my first home study course based on my book, On Purpose. I know many of you are here because you've read the book On Purpose, and I'm excited to be able to expand out the experience beyond the book into a much more detailed and deep dive with a home study course. I put together a preview of the first couple of sections based on the book, and today on the podcast, I'm going to share this preview with you. When we come back from the preview, I'm going to share with you how you can get access to the live home study course, and you can participate with me as we do this going forward. Again, I'm so excited to share with you this preview example of what it will be like to join me in the On Purpose home study course. Let's go. Congratulations and welcome to the course. My name is Jim Tanner, and I'll be your host and instructor for the duration of the course. I'm the author of the book On Purpose, The Journey of an Empowered Entrepreneur. Whether you've read the book already or not, you're going to get a lot of value out of this course. And you may be wondering, well, what does on purpose mean? On purpose means to live life intentionally. Too often we live as if life is something that happens to us. We behave as though our circumstances of the moment are not affected by the choices we make or fail to make. We have the ability to be intentional in all of our choices, large and small. On purpose also means to know what your purpose in life is and make decisions informed by those values. Leaders in our profession describe that as knowing your why. To truly be successful in life, we must live in line with our authentic self and be intentional in following our why. When you understand your purpose in life, you gain clarity and power that you may otherwise think is not within your control. I've organized the lessons in the course around cognitive distortions that prevent people from starting a business or succeeding in the business they've already started. Cognitive distortions are simply ways that our mind convinces us of something that is not actually true. These inaccurate thoughts are usually used to reinforce negative thinking or emotions, appearing to be rational and accurate, but only serve to keep us feeling bad about ourselves. I've personally dealt with several of these distortions you're going to be learning about. I've worked with hundreds of people to overcome these thoughts and unlock their greatest potential. In the natural world, change occurs inevitably. When the time is right, a caterpillar stops eating, hangs upside down from a twig or leaf, and spins itself a silky cocoon. Within its protective casing, the caterpillar radically transforms its body, eventually emerging as a butterfly. The caterpillar cannot decide to remain in the cocoon for its entire life. It must pursue its purpose of flying free in the sky as a butterfly. You are not a caterpillar, predetermined to become a butterfly. You have the ability to develop and plan your own metamorphosis. Deep within are quiet whispers, or possibly loud screams, urging you to change. Unlike the caterpillar, you have the ability to ignore those messages. It is your right to bottle up or block out your frustration, impatience, and disappointment. You were born with the capacity to act independently and make choices, including the choice to do nothing. This may lead even the most unsatisfied or distraught people to continue on with their lives without making much change. The very agency that gives us the power to transform also gives us the option to accept the status quo. In this course, you'll learn about my journey of becoming an empowered entrepreneur through the profession of direct sales. You'll learn how I gained control over my finances and my schedule by controlling my thoughts and perspective. I'm excited to share my journey with you, but more importantly, I hope it inspires you to start or continue your own journey as an empowered entrepreneur. The The process of recording the events of my life and the lessons I've learned have been emotional for me. I'm proud of my accomplishments so far, and I'm excited to share with you the story of my pursuit of a future radically different from my past. Welcome. I'm excited you're going to be going with me on this journey. This course, just like the book, is organized into distortions. We're going to be talking about these distortions as we go forward. We're going to start with distortion number 1. After I highlight the distortions that may be holding you back, I'll provide concrete exercises for you to complete. I refer to these exercises as empowered actions. I recommend that you engage with the activities directed in each of these lessons. Hopefully you have a journal or a notebook ready with you. You can also create a document and complete each exercise electronically on your computer or phone. Don't skip this part. Don't just answer the prompts. Write them down. Your active engagement in combating distortions is key to your success. At the conclusion of each of the lessons, you'll find examples of empowered thoughts as well, and will prompt you to encourage you to develop your own personal, strength-based affirmations to combat your distorted thinking. Take the time after each of these lessons to write out your affirmation. Again, you can record your affirmations in your journal or an electronic device. The important thing is that you intentionally develop these affirmations. This is an important action step that will help you combat distorted thinking and transform and empower your business. You might also consider writing your affirmations on a note card or a piece of paper and posting them where you'll be able to see them each day. Now, as we get started with distortion number 1, I already have a job. Let me just tell a little bit of my story. This is a real common distortion. I talk to a lot of people and they say, well, I already have a job. And when I got started in the business that eventually made me a millionaire, I already had a job. As a matter of fact, I had 2 jobs. I had a full-time job delivering furniture and appliances, and a part-time job at night working in a retail store in the mall. The problem was I still just couldn't make ends meet, even though I was working all the time. Many of you, if you've read the book, you know about the story about really what started my journey was that I was involved in a robbery in the store where I delivered furniture and appliances. I was working in Providence, Rhode Island at an inner city location. And previous to that, I'd been in Schenectady, New York. And as I wrote in the book, I didn't think any place could be more dangerous than Schenectady. Because where I worked in that city, I was always aware of the potential for violent encounters. One neighborhood where I made deliveries, there had been a horrific murder. Some young men ordered a pizza from a pizza man and lured him in and robbed and killed him. So in Schenectady, my guard was always up. But when I got to Providence, I just kind of thought, well, how dangerous could a tiny city in New England be? But my eyes were open the night that I was involved in the robbery. There was armed men that committed the robbery, and they wore military-style gas masks, and they had sweatshirts with the hoods pulled up over their heads. When they entered the store, they locked the doors behind them, and they turned off the lights. By the time I realized what was happening, one of the gunmen had stepped into our office and demanded that I hang up the phone and go with him. I remember I held my hands up, and I was careful. I didn't want to make any eye contact. I didn't want him to think I was trying to identify him. I knew he was there for the money. He wasn't there for me. But as myself and a coworker, we were pushed out of that office, I really held 2 thoughts in my mind. Number 1, I wondered how many of these people were in the store. But my bigger concern was that somebody would try to be a hero and get us all killed. I was directed into the employee bathroom where the other gunmen had gathered my fellow employees and a few customers who were unlucky enough to be in the store at the time. As they forced each of us into that small, dark bathroom, one of the assailants stood in the open doorway. The ambient glow from the signs behind him cast just enough light to allow us to understand our bleak situation. He raised the barrel of the gun to his waist level. It felt like there was nothing any of us could do to save our own lives. We were cornered, and we were about to know our fate. I remember every one of my muscles was tense. My eyes were slammed shut. I was so certain that this man was going to pull the trigger and shoot us all. My thoughts turned to what would happen after that. I imagined my mother getting a phone call, telling her that her son was shot and lying in a hospital bed. The memory of worrying about my mother is crystal clear, but more than anything, I recall the physical tension that was in my body as I anticipated being shot at close range. All of those thoughts were silenced by that terrible noise followed by total darkness. Bam! Fortunately, the noise was not the sound of a shotgun blast. It was the gunman slamming the bathroom door. He did not shoot, and I did not die. From that bathroom, we heard them shouting instructions to one another as they gathered the money and fled the store. In the silence that followed, it was clear that they were gone, so we left the bathroom and called the police. The police arrived within minutes. Obviously, it felt much longer. After speaking with the police, we secured the store and headed home. Other than our late departure after the robbery, the routine was basically the same. But I was different. I went home to get some sleep, but obviously, sleep did not come. It didn't come that night and didn't come for many nights after that. But the interesting thing, and the reason I tell this story, is the next morning I arrived for my shift. And of the employees who had been there during the robbery, I was the only one who showed up for work. And that surprised me. It didn't occur to me not to go to work. Some of my coworkers returned after a few days or a few weeks. Some of them never came back. But in my mind, I could not stay home. It was 2 days before Christmas. The store had to be open. I didn't want to be there, and every night I was anxious about working in the store after dark or walking to my car after closing. I struggled emotionally, but I did not leave my job. Quitting was not an option in my financial situation, and by the way, I was taught to be grateful for the work. I was taught a good employee does not complain, not about this situation, not about anything. But after my dramatic wake-up call in Providence, I began searching for a better way to make a living. And I started like most people would, by looking for a new job. Not long before that incident, though, I'd learned about the fascinating concept of passive income. I'd read a book that was popular at the time called Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And until I'd read the book, I assumed all money came in the form of earned income. In my experience, you worked for an hourly wage, you traded your time for money. If you wanted to increase your income, you had to work more hours or find a way to get paid more per hour. It felt like a revelation to learn that some people earned income in a passive way, and it didn't depend on the number of hours they worked. I learned in the book about the power of passive rental income, that I could earn by acquiring properties and then renting them to tenants. Well, I immediately scratched this option off my list, because at this point in my life, I didn't have any extra money, and my credit score was terrible. Another example from the book was building a book of business as an insurance professional. I learned that insurance pros earned a commission when they signed up a new customer, and that they earned passive income when the customer continued to pay for a policy. I realized that building a book of business in insurance would allow me to create passive income that would continue to come in. The lessons in this book dominated my thoughts. I was frustrated that I wasn't in a position to buy a building and rent it out to tenants, but I was equally frustrated at the challenges that were in front of me getting started as an insurance professional. First off, I couldn't afford to quit my job while learning the life insurance business, and I couldn't find a company interested in hiring me on a part-time basis. Second, I'd have to study for and pass an exam to be licensed to sell insurance. Third, and most problematic for me, was that I had no real-world sales experience. Delivering furniture and working retail had not prepared me for professional sales, and I wasn't sure that I could become a polished sales professional myself. My frustrations grew as I searched for a new job immediately, and at the same time I remained excited for the potential of finding a way to begin earning passive income like I'd read about in Rich Dad, Poor Dad. In my search, I came across an opportunity that I wasn't expecting. It was a product that I'd already owned and loved. I had never considered selling it until that moment. I'd told many people about it over the years, but I was never paid for those referrals. And I remember staring at that screen and feeling excited about what I just found. I also remember going over the information again and again, looking for the catch. Was it possible that I could earn a significant commission for selling a product that I was so familiar with and happy with myself? On top of that, I'd be able to continue earning passive income every month when the customer reordered? It was almost too good to be true. I just found the answer to my searches. It was the first of many nights I would lie awake calculating the ways to leverage this business opportunity in order to change my financial future. I did not have a college degree, nor did I need one. I would not have to quit my job because I could start my new business part-time. As a customer already, I felt that the product was definitely better than advertised. And even though this business could potentially be worth millions of dollars to me, it would not cost me tens of thousands of dollars like a franchise would. It was a business that I could get started in for just a couple $100s. Now listen, at the time, I didn't have a couple of $100s extra, and that was a substantial sum of money to me. I couldn't just write a check or put it on a credit card, but I was not going to let that stop me. In order to make the investment, I decided I'd have to make some sacrifices. My finances were so tight that I chose to get further behind on my bills to start my business. The way I saw it, I could not afford to get started, but I also could not afford to waste any more time. I needed to take action. I started my business with a goal of earning $400 a week, so I could quit my jobs and control my own schedule. I reached that income goal while continuing to work full time. Eventually, I left the world of traditional jobs behind and continued to increase my income. I was inspired and motivated by my mentors to set new goals. It was not long after I made this business my primary focus that I was able to earn over $100,000 per year. And at the time of this course, I've earned over $1 million from my business. Even so, I believe that I'm still at the beginning of what is possible. I feel strongly that the most common reason others do not have the same results can be overcome by applying the lessons I've learned on my journey. My journey to success has been a radical one, and my path has been characterized by resilience. Staying on this path and continuing to be resilient has not been easy, but it has been empowering. I tell that story about the robbery. It was many years ago, and it's not an easy story to recollect or share, but I share it because it marks the beginning of my journey. At that moment and the days that followed, I made a decision to take control of my life. Now, not later. To not put it off anymore. And the events that took place that night in Providence caused me to take that action immediately that I probably would have kept putting off forever. If the robbery had not happened, I would not have acted so quickly. I would not have taken the needed steps to move in a new direction in my life. All right, so let's dig into some empowered actions here in distortion number 1. In this section, you're going to take inventory of your current financial situation while also creating a clear vision for your financial future. By the way, if you have a spouse, I highly recommend that you do this together. To begin, write down all the debt you'd like to pay off. Would a new income stream allow you to pay off credit cards, student loans, or other lingering bills? If so, write them down. If you're one of the majority of people that feel trapped by debt, you can actively release yourself from these burdens by prioritizing paying off your debts with the income from your new business. The first step is to make a complete list of every debt you owe and the total amount owed. Write down exactly how much more money you'll have per month when you're no longer servicing these lingering debts. Once your list is complete, write a clear statement on how your life will be different when these debts are paid off. Write down in the present how it feels to be completely debt-free. It's very important that you do this in the present tense. For example, I am debt-free, and I feel like a weight has been taken off my shoulders. That's very different than saying I hope to be, I want to be, I desire to be debt-free. When you speak it into existence in present, it has so much more powerful. I am debt-free is powerful for controlling your attitude and your emotions as you move forward on your journey. So say it to yourself, I am debt-free, and I feel like a weight has been taken off my shoulders. But also, what about your retirement goals? Because of the burden of lingering debt, most people are not able to sufficiently fund their future retirement, and that often leads to them delaying retirement. If you want to be able to retire in the future, you can fund your retirement plans with the income from your business. Write down on your list exactly how and when you want to retire, how long you plan to live after you retire, and how much money you'll need to live in those years after retirement. Write down how much money you currently have saved for your retirement. This is simple math. If you're going to have enough money to retire when you plan to, you need to find ways to increase your income now. It's important to have a clearly written goal of when you want to retire and not live day to day with no plans for the future. Do you have children or grandchildren? Most people would love to do more for the current and future needs of their children and grandchildren. Write down all the ways you'd like to financially support these important young people in your life. Would you like to fund a college savings account? Are these children in the very best public school system, or would moving to a new city, or at least transferring to a private school, help them to have the best education? Are these children missing out on opportunities in sports, the arts, or special academic programs simply because the costs are prohibitive for your family? Do you want the best for yourself, your spouse, and your family? You can provide a new home and a safer neighborhood, more reliable vehicles, healthy organic food, the best supplements and medical care, and great vacation memories for your whole family by creating additional income from your own business. If any or all of these are important to you, write them down on your list as well. I have heard many people tell me that they do not need any extra income in their families with great confidence. But once they complete their list, they realize just how many more opportunities are available to them, and then the motivation to create additional income becomes clear. And they begin to let go of that distorted thinking, saying, I already have a job. I have enough money. Because when you look at this, you can start to understand how many more robust opportunities you can add to your family and your life experiences in the remaining time that you have. As in the book, let me offer you an empowered conclusion. You do not need more jobs. You need a source of passive income. See, I was trading time for money, working a full-time job and a part-time job, and I wasn't getting ahead because more jobs is not how you get ahead. What you need is a source of passive income. And if you have a job already, that's not a reason to dismiss the power of building a business in your spare time. You might miss out on the opportunity to get started because you see the world as black and white. This represents a type of cognitive distortion, polarized thinking. If you already have a source of income, you do not need another. Seeing things only in extremes causes one to miss out on opportunities that others seize. Having a job should not mean that an additional source of income for your household is unwelcome. I do not imagine that you directly turn down the ability to qualify for free vacations or opportunities to travel the world. I'd be surprised if you felt like you had all the time freedom you could ever need. While you may want the benefits of a successful business, your black and white thinking does not allow you to see the powerful opportunities that you may be passing up. Here are some empowered thoughts for you to consider. I am building a powerful business because it allows me the freedom to make choices that are important to me. The world is abundant with opportunity. I intentionally attract this abundance to me every day. Before moving on to the next lesson, work on your empowered affirmations. Develop a personal, strength-based affirmation to combat your negative thinking about seizing opportunities. I hope you're enjoying the course so far. We're now into distortion number 2. I do not like sales. Even if you are an experienced and highly successful sales professional, you may have felt this way at one time in your career and in your life. This is, again, one of the most common things people think or say when they consider starting their own business. Let me tell you a little bit of my story. Again, a little bit from the book On Purpose, The Journey of an Empowered Entrepreneur. I left high school thinking I had my life all figured out. I had no interest in going to college because in my mind it was just going to slow down my plans. I intended to be an athlete and an entertainer, and I had a dream of seeing the world and never worrying about money, of course. But less than a year after I graduated, I found myself back in Whitehall, New York, where I went to high school. I was delivering furniture and really just kind of wondering how I had gotten so off track of the goals that seemed so clear to me a short time before. But it was at this job on my lunch break when a man walked into the store and he asked if he could show me something. He said it would only take 15 minutes. He also said I may or may not be interested. A decade later, I would learn that those 3 sentences were exactly how to invite someone to sit down for a product demonstration in our company. At this moment, he was just a salesman and I was just a guy on his lunch break. But 15 minutes later, I was writing him a check and becoming a new customer. I was impressed by the product and what it had to offer. Now, I never saw that man again after that day, but he gave me access to a product that I was very satisfied with, and 10 years later, I would start my own business marketing this product. Over the course of those 10 years, I used the product and got great value from using it. As a matter of fact, I got value to the point that I would often tell other people about my results as a customer. I think most, if not all, people that own a business would say that they believe in their product. When I'm coaching someone that's not having success with their business, I usually discover the reason for their lack of success very quickly. See, they don't actually believe in the product at all. They mistake belief for hope. They hope for the quality and viability of the product, but they do not believe it. It's important to recognize the difference between hope and belief. When you're just getting started in your business and you've recently been introduced to an incredible product and you're excited about it, realize you may actually know very little about the product at this point. I mean, you hope that it works as advertised. You hope that the things you're learning about the product are true. You hear testimonies about how the product has helped other people, and you secretly wonder if those are real people sharing their genuine results. When I spend time talking to people about their frustrations, it becomes clear that they're not using the products they sell on a regular basis. This will definitely lead to struggle and frustration early on. And you may become frustrated, particularly if you've been recruited into a business with promises of fast money with very little effort. You know, companies and leaders may say that your enthusiasm is more important than your knowledge and you don't need to get caught up in the details. However, in my opinion, this messaging is too broad. While you may not need to know every detail of your product to be successful, you do need to be a real believer in the products and the results that come from using them correctly. The potential customers you meet with do not need to borrow your hope. Your customers need to borrow your belief. If you've not established a belief in your products, people will not buy your product. This is not unique to any kind of business. I mean, this is true of every business. And selling, by definition, is the transfer of emotion from you to the customer. Are you transferring your conviction or your uncertainty? Are you transferring your passion or your unease? When I started my business, I had a tremendous advantage. Every time I sat down with a prospect to present the product, I radiated genuine belief because I was already a longtime customer. I was armed with countless personal stories about successfully using the product. My customers were able to borrow my belief, rooted in genuine positive feelings, which were generated by my actual experiences and results. The prospects could feel my passion, and because of that passion, many of them wanted to buy. Equally as important, my steadfast confidence in the product served to protect me from rejection. Because sometimes I would face rejection from prospects, including close family and friends. Not everyone would buy. Some people would not even schedule a time to meet with me. Had I not believed in my product, I would have become greatly discouraged and assumed that these prospects saw a flaw in the product that I had somehow missed. Instead, because of my personal experience as a customer, I was protected. Many people that should start a business don't because they think they can't succeed in sales. This cognitive distortion is known as emotional reasoning. Emotional reasoning is the false belief that your emotions are the truth, that the way you feel about a situation is a reliable indicator of reality. And what I've come to understand is that if people will look deeper, they'll realize that their business is a word-of-mouth marketing business. Success does not come from mastering a sales script, overcoming objections, or other techniques of a sales transaction. Success comes when you share your story about the product you're representing. You share how you have personally gotten results that are meaningful to you. I do not see that as sales. I see it as educating. I am educating people that my products exist and telling true stories of how they've helped me and other people. Unfortunately, many people that do get started with their own business quit right away because of a little rejection. A negative reaction from a prospect creates doubt in the mind of the new business owner because that new business owner has not yet established a strong belief in the product and does not understand their role as an educator. They see themselves in a sales role, and thus, when someone does not buy from them right away, they label the interaction as a failure. And they predict that all of the future interactions will have the same result. In cognitive distortions, this is known as mental filtering. This is a tendency to ignore positives and focus exclusively on the negatives. As a business owner, it's fundamental for you to own your product and use your product. Invest time in learning about how it works and why it's better than other competing products in the marketplace. Over the years, I've noticed a certain phenomenon. When someone I'm working with suddenly begins making sales, sometimes after months or years of dormancy, more often than not, the reason they were inspired to action was that they realized how truly wonderful the product was and became excited to share it with others. In that excitement, the cognitive distortion was overcome. They were not imagining the negative outcome anymore. They have a product that brings them a benefit and they enjoy sharing it with others. The cognitive distortion known as mislabeling is an extreme form of overgeneralization. You may have tried a sales role in the past. You may not have had the success you expected immediately. Instead of seeing this as a natural part of the learning and growing process, someone suffering from this cognitive distortion may decide they're a failure, and they extend that out to say that they're not good at sales, creating for themselves a false belief that they must carry forward with them in life. Mislabeling involves describing an event with language that is highly colored and emotionally loaded. Here's our empowered action. You're going to take inventory of your personal experience as a customer of your product. You're also going to use critical thinking to determine if success in your business actually requires selling skills. Make a list of every product that you personally use from your company. It may be only one product, or it could be many products. Make sure it's a complete list. For each product on your list, write down a direct benefit that you've experienced personally. For example, it may be that you have more energy, lost 5 pounds, gained strength, sleep better, save money, etc. For each product on your list, write down if you plan to continue using the product and for how long. For every product on your list that you believe you will continue to use in the future, write down why you'll continue to use it, and write down for each product if you believe that other people would have similar positive experiences using the product. Make a list of 5 things you have recommended to someone that's not produced by your company, and that you were not paid a commission for referring. It could be products you love, restaurants you enjoyed, movies you've watched. You should be able to easily think of 5, and some can make a list of many more. The point of making these lists is to help you visually see where your business fits into the world you already inhabit. See, your business is not the same as traditional selling where you have to overcome objections and master a closing script. Your business is word-of-mouth marketing. It is simply the act of sharing your personal story of using and loving a product with other people that you also believe would get a similar benefit. The reality is, you do not need to love sales to build a business. I've seen time and time again people with massive amounts of sales experience struggle, get frustrated, and quit. I've also seen teachers, pastors, retail workers, stay-at-home parents, factory workers, nurses, military veterans, and a host of other people with no sales skills join our profession and thrive. The deciding factor is not sales skills or the ability to master a sales process. The people that succeed in this business use the product, realize a benefit from using it, and enjoy sharing their results so that others can discover the product and gain a benefit as well. Here's a couple empowered thoughts from the book to help you build your own empowered affirmation. I radiate belief in my product, and I'm grateful for the ways it has helped me. I already have the skills I need to educate others about the benefits of my product. Before moving on to the next lesson, develop your empowered affirmation. Develop a personal, strength-based affirmation to combat your negative thinking about sharing your product. Next, I'll join you for distortion number 3, you have to get in early. Thanks very much, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the preview. And before we wrap up the podcast, I just want to let you know that more information about this home study course will be in the show notes wherever you're listening to the podcast today. We're going to make this available to you in both this recorded format, where you'll be able to engage in the course material at your own pace, but we're also going to meet live for those that are interested on a weekly basis throughout the On Purpose Home Study course. I'm going to teach this material live and interact with everybody that's participating as well. And I'm excited about this, an opportunity to spend more time with each and every one of you and to explore the concepts of the On Purpose book. And check the show notes for this episode to get all the details on how you can pick up your copy of the On Purpose book now on Amazon in paperback or Kindle, and how you can get pre-registered to participate in the On Purpose Home Study course, which will be coming up very, very soon. We'll launch these dates in the near future. I'll give you updates on that as well on next week's episode of the podcast, but secure your position in this very limited experience to be with me live as we explore the concepts of my book, On Purpose. Thank you so much for joining me. This has been another episode of Coffee with Jim. We'll be right back here next Tuesday when we drop another episode. Have a great day, have a great week, and we'll see you right back here on the podcast. Good day.